And to get these highly motivated teams, the two key things we're going to look at is how to achieve engagement within your team. And we're going to look at the benefits of collaboration within your team. Okay, so we'll be looking at a wide range of different techniques. And by the end of this video, you should have a very good set of tools you can use to motivate your team. So let's start with engagement and how to achieve engagement. Now, whenever you've been a customer, you'll know what engagement looks like in staff. So if we take the example of going to a pizza place, your favorite pizza place, and you go in and the server comes up and she's polite and she's got a smile and she's asking if she can help you at all, and she goes above and beyond the call of duty to make sure you have a good time. And at the end, you haven't finished all of your meal and she comes with a box for you to take your meal home in, and you're very pleased and happy with the service. And then perhaps a few weeks later, you go to the same place and there's a different server, and there's not necessarily anything wrong with what they're doing, but they're perhaps slightly less helpful. You have to ask them to come over. You have to ask them for the box to take your food away in. And though they haven't necessarily done anything wrong, compared to the first visit, there is a noticeable difference. And that difference is essentially what we call engagement, and it's one step above commitment. So we can say that both of those staff members were committed to their job. They were doing what they needed to do. But it was only the first server that was truly engaged, because engagement is a measure of discretionary effort. It's up to the individual to choose to what extent they're willing to go beyond the minimum requirements of their role. Okay, so ultimately, it's the individual's choice how much they're going to put in to their particular role. And there's nothing wrong necessarily with providing the bare minimum, but it is better if you can get staff to really be engaged with their work. Why is it better? Well, engagement leads to better motivation within the team. People care more about the work they're doing and they tend to want to do a better job. And so as a manager, one of the things that you need to be looking at is ways that you can encourage engagement for the individuals within your team. Okay, so if you want to know how to make your team more engaged, you need to know about the drivers of engagement. Okay, so generally speaking, engaged employees, they're going to have a positive impact on the company. They're more engaged in their work, they're more motivated, and on average, they tend to stay longer within the company. All those things are better for the team, for you as the manager of the team, and for the organization that you're working for. So as we've said, it's going to be an important part of your role as a team leader to monitor and improve where necessary the engagement of the members of your team. Now, there is a model that we're going to look at now. It's the Drivers of Employee Engagement model. It was developed by Robinson, Perryman, and Hayday. And effectively, it's a list or a spider diagram of the different drivers of engagement. And the basic idea is that these are the things you need to know that lead towards greater engagement for your employees. And overall, the strongest component of employee engagement is a sense of feeling valued and involved. And so ways to achieve that sense of being valued are given by this model here, the drivers of employee engagement. First of all, we have that managers listen to employees. It's a fairly simple one, but just listening to employees makes them feel valued. Another driver is that employees should be involved in decision making. That's going to vary by degrees as to how much decision making can be handed over to employees, but some decision making improves engagement. If employees feel able to voice their opinions, they're going to be more engaged. And if additionally employees see that their good suggestions are actually acted upon by the management, they're going to feel that their opinions are valued and they'll feel comfortable contributing more in the future. And that obviously benefits the organization too, if they are genuinely good ideas. If employers show concern about the employee's well-being, that's going to make the employee feel valued. If senior managers in particular, and those higher up in the organization, show employers that they value them, then that creates a stronger sense of being valued, because you know the people at the top, the really important people, well, they seem to care about me, so I'm engaged in my job. And finally, employees have an opportunity to develop their jobs. That job development, career development, is an important thing for a lot of individuals, and that will help to drive engagement. So those are the 7 key drivers of employee engagement. And as you can see, they're all fairly obvious things. There's nothing too tricky, and just basic things that you can do as a manager to try to engage the members of your team. Now, as always, there are some limitations of this particular model. First of all, everyone is different, so everyone's going to have slightly different things that they think are important from this particular list. So it's going to make it more difficult to implement in practice, because you're going to have to cater to different individuals within your team. And that means knowing your team well, which isn't necessarily a limitation, it just makes your job slightly more difficult. Another limitation of the model is that it's simply not an exhaustive list. There's a good amount on there and it's a good starting point, but there are things that people or staff may value that aren't included on the list. So for example, some individuals might value, and you'll get greater engagement from them if you are honest about the company's successes and failures, and you're open and transparent about that. They will value that more, and that's obviously not included in this particular model. So just be wary of these particular limitations, that individuals will value different parts of it in different ways, and that it is not exhaustive. But in general, it's a good set of drivers to understand that you can implement and try to use to get greater engagement from your team. So what are some of the ways that you can support these drivers? Well, one that we're going to look at, a key part of this, is empowerment.
And if you enjoyed that video and would like to see more from us, be sure to like and subscribe, and consider following us on social media like Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, or go to our website linked in the description.